The people are rallying around a Pennsylvania woman by the name of Carol Jumper after she was fired for having cancer. Interesting. Now, Jumper was diagnosed with cancer that would impact her pancreas, liver, and ovaries. This was back in August. Now, when she informed her boss, an oral hygienist by the name of Dr. George Visnich, he laid her off without compensation. Interesting. Now, she found out about a layoff through the letter that reads as follows. The symptoms of the disease, the pain medications you will need, and the side effects of the chemotherapy will be significant and distracting. Now, you will not be able to function in my office at the level required while battling for your life. Because of this, I am laying you off without pay as of August 11, 2014. Our thoughts and prayers are with you as you fight this horrible disease. Thanks for your time at our oral surgery place. Hope your battle is swift, smooth, and successful. Now, the doctor's attorney told the Beaver County Times that he laid her off so that she could get on unemployment benefits. And he described the layoff as a, quote, a humanitarian thing. From the lawyer, she said, quote, he's trying to help this woman, and he's made out to be a villain. She also added that he wrote this letter with the understanding that when she's feeling better, that she's welcome to come back to work. See, she wasn't actually fired. She was just laid off. She can come back to work after she's done with this whole cancer thing. Cancer patients, by the way, are protected against being fired under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So as long as they can still do the job's essential functions, they can't get fired. They're protected. Now, we don't actually know what her job was. But let me get into something a little bit personal here. My father, my dad, recently diagnosed with a type of throat cancer. It was back this spring. Now, he spent the summer doing chemotherapy, radiation, and even now, he's still finding it a hard time to swallow. He can't eat anything. But he's back to work. He's doing 6-hour shifts. Now, he does quality management, which is a desk job. And I could understand laying her off if she couldn't do the job, if she were an oral surgeon or if she was a nurse or somebody who had to be on her feet a lot. I totally understand that. But if she was a secretary, she had a desk job, or if she could have a smaller role as she goes through this difficult time, that would be much more understandable. But if not, this could really run up against the ADA and perhaps get this guy in trouble. I want to get your guys' thoughts about this.
I think it's a case of just being very, very poorly handled. I don't necessarily think that this guy is a villainous guy, that he's a villain, but the way that he's acted is certainly not the kindest way. Now, as you said, we don't actually know what this woman's job was, but for this, I'm going to assume that it wasn't just a simple desk job. Just the way he worded the letter, I get the sense that, you know, if he's an oral surgeon, she might have been helping him out. But again, that's speculation. But admittedly, you know, when you're going through chemotherapy on these drugs, you're not at 100% peak health. And you don't, you know, if I found out that someone wasn't at peak health and they're operating on me, I'd be a bit, you know, wary about it. But all he needed to do really was to kind of, when he found out, call her into his office. It's like, okay, I know you're going through this horrible thing. Obviously, you probably won't, like, I can't really employ you throughout the entire time when you're going through the chemotherapy. It's just, you know, I wouldn't feel comfortable for my patients and stuff. But look, I think, you know, that financially for you it'd be better if I laid you off. You can claim some unemployment benefit and stuff, and you can still be getting money that way. You know, maybe I can kind of pay you up, like keep you on part-time. You can help out with some paperwork, and then when you're fully recovered, you can come back. And if you'd done something like that, perfectly fine. I don't think anyone would have had any qualms. This wouldn't have been a story. But the fact he just wrote a handwritten letter, he hasn't even called her, hasn't contacted her, it's just really cold, kind of heartless, and it's callous. Maybe he was looking for a way to get rid of her, and this he just thought, oh, jackpot, here's where I can lay her off for a while. But yeah, this has been dealt really poorly with him, and I hope that, you know, that she sues, because as you said, it's, you know, you can't discriminate against people with cancer, and you can't fire them if they've developed cancer. So I hope that she sues, and I hope she gets better, and I hope she gets her job back, certainly.
Well, I mean, I love that you're way more optimistic in this man's actions. I personally think he's a motherfucker. But the underlying issue here is that a lot of businesses do their damnedest to avoid having to deal with women's health issues, because whether we like it or not, if you're a woman, your health costs are exponentially higher than men. And if he's providing health care to this woman, then her issues are going to raise his prices up. I'm pretty sure he's trying to dodge that. I can't speak for him, but that's kind of what it feels like. And you cannot, just because she was diagnosed when he fired her. It's not like she already went through the chemo a little bit and started slowing down. This was a preemptive firing, which the law says you cannot do. The only time that that's allowed is if that worker shows that they are incapable of facilitating their job, which is something that she obviously did not show. So it's like, you're not doing her any favors. If you're firing her, you're putting her in a stressful position. Stress does not make the cancer go away. So you're probably enhancing her situation and making her health even worse. And I don't know where people think this unemployment benefit shit is like amazing to live off of, but it kind of sucks. It's not something that you can just keep on living your daily lifestyle on and just, go on and do something else or go on and deal with your medical bills. So it's like unemployment benefits does not help that much. So it probably would have been better for her to stay with her job. Now, my aunt had breast cancer, and she continued to work at a library, of course, but she continued to work throughout that entire situation. So it's not impossible. You're not an invalid. And I think a lot of cancer patients would probably feel a little offended at the fact that somebody's trying to treat them as if they are completely incapable of doing their job when they're not. I've never met a cancer patient that had that kind of defeatist attitude. So for her community and her job to do that to her, that's not right. And he's definitely a villain in my view.
Yeah, this dude is getting trashed. I'm like reading online reviews now, and everything since September 11th is just like, since the story broke, he is getting destroyed, like on Facebook, on Google, on like all this stuff. Like if you Google this guy, like people are coming for him, man. But I'm glad Steven kind of did the thing I normally do, so I don't have to do it so hard. Like I'm trying to find a reason to like maybe see where he's coming from. And the only one I can think of is kind of racialist, so I'm afraid to say it, but, Jenk gets away with saying racialist stuff. Like, maybe from, like, looking at his name, maybe he's not a native English speaker, so, like, that's why the letter is worded so poorly. I don't know. I'm really reaching here. To Jeff's point, she wasn't, like, a surgeon assistant or whatever. Like, she's not, holding tools like where if her hand shakes, like she's going to cut a nerve in somebody's jaw. Like she's admin. So I don't know. I mean, I can't really find a reason to stand by this guy. And
Jordan, if you have to reach, then there is no reason to stand by this.
No, that's not true.
If you have to circle the wagon, scratch your head, jump up and down, do smoke signals, have a seance to figure out what this guy is doing is kind of sort of has like an inkling of a nice thing, then if you have to work that hard at it, then maybe he's not doing it to be nice, because nice actions are very, very obvious. Nice actions and being an upfront and honest person is obvious. You don't have to reach for it. And
Jordan, if Haven's words don't sway you, think about this.
I'm not saying I'm not swayed. Like I think he's a pretty, like, that's my conclusion. I'm with you guys. I'm just, like, that's kind of my point, that it's so hard to like paint this guy as a good guy. I don't know, man. It seems like a bad situation.
Right. But you're looking, out of complete fairness, you're looking for something, to defend this guy with. Let me make a case against that as well. And add to what Haven was saying, the whole unemployment thing, saying that I'm doing this as a humanitarian thing, putting you on the taxpayer's dime instead of mine. Instead of being a good employer and helping you with your medical costs, as my valued employee of 12 years, letting you do this on my insurance or offering some sort of insurance option, whatever. Yeah, we don't know his financial situation, and that's fair to say that. But saying, here you go, I'm going to let you go so the taxpayer can take care of that. It doesn't really speak well to his motivations.